So we got Mark a Legend back in the studio today. I'm going to talk to you about the beginning. So take us back to that original TikTok video.
I believe that I am the second coming of Christ, the eighth incarnation of Buddha. I understand the weight of my words. I understand many of you will be offended. Many of you will find it laughable. But I hope that a few of you will consider the possibility that my words are true. So I'm asking you to challenge me. Ask me anything, and I will answer any and all relevant questions. I want to test my hypothesis just as much as you do.
Did you expect the response you got from it? Like, what was your expectations? That what did you think was going to come?
So this is interesting in regards to the TikTok algorithm, which I'm really fascinated by. But I assumed that I would get everything I got. Schizophrenic, crazy, demon possessed, antichrist, all these things. What I didn't expect is the deplatforming and the silencing. Like, so I got a lot of people reporting me for violating guidelines when I wasn't. A lot of people reporting me during lives, to the point where every single one of my videos were getting under review for like 2 or 3 weeks. I expected everything before that, and I dealt with it pretty fine. In fact, I was probably a little too nice to a lot of those folks because they were being hateful, not just to me, but to other people on the commenting in regards to race, gender, sexuality. That was upsetting. I had this strange feeling since I was a kid that there was something more important that I was supposed to do with my life. I had this weird intuitive feeling that there was more to being alive than, paying taxes and dying, so to speak. And that urge and that idea and that intuition evolved into this very peculiar idea that I was like a world messenger, a world leader. I fought that for years because it felt egotistical. It felt megalomaniacal, right? And I knew that people had tried that before, and we realized what happened in Waco and with Jim Jones and Jonestown and, the white Nikes and capes and flying saucers and all this nonsense, right? So I really did avoid it, but there were so many strange things that happened in my life that, we can't really operate in the empirical method, but if you look at those intuitive things, there was something strange happening in my life. Then I began to study a lot. Christianity, Buddhism, Taoism, alchemy. And I found this story and the great white brother of the Hopi tradition. I found this story that interconnected between all those, and that there was going to be a time that there would need to be a person who would bring about new and important ideas while also reclaiming history for the importance that we had before and manifesting a new philosophy. And at that point, it became less that I was some chosen one, right? That I was like sent down or reincarnated or anything like metaphysical, and more that I had preoccupied my entire life with that idea. I wanted to be that. I wanted to help people, not for glory, although I'm sure there was an aspect of it that was a desire for glory. But I had always had an innate desire to transform society in a way that would bring about human harmony, human peace, human love. World's never going to be perfect. Utopia is not a real thing, but things could be better. And so I preoccupied my entire life with this, with an innate desire. It just always was in me. And so I kept on getting these weird messages and dreams and like sort of like you might say spiritual experiences. I had people, friends coming to me and said, Mark, I think it's you, which creeped me the hell out. Okay. But there just came this point where I was like, I can't deny this anymore. I don't know how true that is, if there's some sort of real prophecy or maybe even some mathematical constant where one individual has to basically rise out of the mess of chaos that we're dealing with in our 21st century chaos or whatever. But I had to take a shot at it. And so that first video was me finally saying, you know what? I don't know how true it is, but let me throw myself to the fire, be an example, take a shot at this and see what happens, because it's been too long. There's been too many strange occurrences. And this really means something to me at my core. There's nothing I'd rather do with my life than take a shot at trying to fundamentally change the way we see politics, religion, economy, everything. And so that's what the video came out of. And you could, if you watch the video now, it's like, I'm stiff. I just cut all my hair off. I'm terrified because what I'm saying obviously is going to come off as, wow, this guy's crazy or schizophrenic on the scientific side. And on the religious side, Antichrist, false prophet, demon possessed, blasphemy, whatever, Pharisee. And so I knew what I was getting myself into. But my thought was twofold. One, it was, what if it's true? Like you think about the movie Neo, and I know it's a movie, but life imitates art. The Oracle tells Neo in the movie, it's like, you're not the one because you don't believe you're the one. So you look at that from the opposite way. If you press yourself to be this one, this savior, whatever it is, and you really genuinely mean it, you might at least put a little good into the world. So there was that side of it. But secondly, and I think even more importantly, as I've said a couple times in videos and on interviews, I'm not the only one. I'm the first of many. What I wanted to do was create a cascade effect where people stopped, for instance, Christians stopped believing they were destined to be sinful without the blood sacrifice of some guy 2,000 years ago, where even like atheists had a little faith in the possibility of a magical place where there was some beauty and intent for design. Like I wanted to try to bring all these people together to believe they were greater than just being a material or sinful human being. I ironically made myself a sacrifice for the potential for a new type of ideology for human beings. And that's why I made the video.
Can you go into a bit more depth? What do you actually mean, or how do you define the second coming of Christ?
What I still believe is that the thing that makes me special is I am a messenger for ancient truths. And I'm the one that's supposed to link up everything that we know about all these different histories and religions and deliver that to people so that all people can be this. The only thing special about me is I've done the homework. I've drawn the conclusions. I found where they connect, and I'm brave enough to say it out loud. Think of the first guy to run the 4-minute mile. Before that, it was thought to be humanly impossible. But right after he ran it, I believe in that year, you saw several people run it. Never happened before in history. One guy does it, and then a ton of people follow him. What does that tell us? It wasn't a physical limitation. It was an intellectual limitation. What I see myself as is a guy who did a lot of homework, did a lot of reading, and said, oh my God, it's here, it's here, it's here. It's the Ubermensch, it's the Christ, it's the Buddha, it's the Great White Brother, it's Harry Potter, it's Jon Snow, it's these characters in literary fiction, it's these characters in historical, sometimes truth, but a lot of times we're not sure. It could be fiction or truth. But it's a story. It's our deep desire to transcend our human nature as it stands now. When humans go through great crisis where they are facing their own extermination, one of two things will happen. You will either have a massive transcendence in ideology, or you'll go extinct. I believe we're at that precipice now of crisis and opportunity. And it was a matter of time before someone figured it out and had the courage to say it out loud. I think I just happen to be that person. Doesn't make me special. It's not Mark Needham. It's my karma. It's always going to be me because I was born by this mother and this father, and the meteors crashed 65 million years ago and led to the mammals being able to become humans and all that stuff. It's like this was always going to happen the way it was going to happen. It just happened to manifest in me. So when we get locked in on this idea of we'll do a miracle or do a prophecy, that's from one version of the hero story, from one religion. So it's not, that doesn't validate it for me. And I don't think I'm going to start shooting electricity out of my hands. I don't think that's what it's about. We talk about magic, these like religious experiences and spells and casting magic in the world. The most powerful magic we have is language. I could say something to you right now, something really kind, but something also like knowledgeable and wise, something that would like almost be like a catalyst, right? Like a chemical catalyst in the body, a linguistic or psychological catalyst that would set you off tomorrow to have a wonderful day and give beauty and love and wisdom to 10 more people. That's what this is about. It's about casting spells of magic, which are just like little linguistic boxes of information where I say something beneficial and wise and kind and loving and exciting to you. And then that matriculates out into your social circles. And we do a cascade, a wave of love, a cascade, a wave of wisdom and knowledge. That's what I'm going for. I don't know how much sense that makes. And if I really covered with the question you were asking, but that's how I see it. I could say something really shitty to someone, something really mean to someone. And if you were like an alien that came down, didn't understand our language, didn't even understand that small mouth noises were language. Let's say you were so alien that you couldn't even represent that, but you'd see two human beings and one would go, yeah, blah, 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 right? They wouldn't understand the language, but then you'd see the other person have a physical reaction, and then you could blood test them and see, wow, there's cortisol and there's adrenaline being pumped in their blood. You would say, holy shit, these guys can make noises at each other and completely change their physiology, and that would ripple effect into their life for who knows how long. You can say something to somebody and it affects them for decades. A mother or father could say something dreadful to a child that fundamentally changes how they see the world, how they see themselves, and how they approach it. In a retrospect, the other way around, you could say something so beautiful to your child that it would absolutely change the way they conduct themselves in the world for years, decades to come. So the only real magic we actually have is language. And so maybe it's a coincidence that spelling has a root word of spell in it, right? So that's magic. And that's the only thing I'm doing. That's the only thing that Christ and Buddha and all these guys left behind anyway, was their words. And it's their words that have lived on for 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years. And they've inspired tons of beliefs, tons of the ways we act in the world, right? That's what this is about. And I think we got so far away from seeing the world as majestic and magical and alive that we threw the baby out with the bathwater, and we missed an opportunity to understand how powerful our words and actions are.
So let's go. You're now going on TikTok. I love controversy. I do. I love controversy. So you're on TikTok. You're poking the bear. So
yeah.
Take me to these current TikTok videos. Walk me through this. What's the objective? Are you trying to you wanting to rehash some? You want to reinvigorate the conversation, right?
Yeah. So one thing about me, I think most people don't get. I am very playful with debate. I'm very playful with conflict, as long as it's safe and there's no hate and there's no violence. I love that energy. I get excited. I had this one philosophy teacher who taught us, who was like teaching out of the Republic. And there's that one debate between Socrates and Thrasymachus, which is just beautiful and intense. And there's just such a livelihood. And, they all go out to dinner afterwards, right? And they're like borderline mean to each other. We look in our, very like, our cultures become kind of soft, right? We look at that like, oh my God, like Socrates is saying, I've got to pour information down your soul. I'd rather shave a lion than try to convince you of anything. And it was just fun. And yeah, I did want to spark the debate again, because we had mentioned talking more and having another episode, and it kind of fell to the wayside, and maybe the energy died there. And so what I was really trying to do was kind of reinvigorate the energy. And so, yeah, I was like, because those were my rebuttals too. Some of the rebuttals that you had, some of the criticisms you had were the same ones I had. And it's like, you don't really see what happened until you take a couple looks at it, right? So I thought about it a lot, and I'm like, all right, am I being unreasonable here, or do I maybe have a point? Like, I'm not the person that's going to jump immediately. I'm going to really analyze something to see if like I've got a point. And I got to this point where I'm like, yeah, I think I got something here. So like when I made the rebuttal on Mike, it was like, my issue was that the main things we were doing to verify were things that were out of like the religious book, like I said, the magic stuff. And then he had later did a video that I imagine he was talking about like prophecy. So my thing was like, those are fine in the context of Christian theology, but there's like 90% more stuff that I was connecting all of what I believe into that we should have approached, right? And so for me, it was more like, hey, these things should be conversated about too. Like, so just talking about the Christian verification of what I'm trying to say isn't doing what I'm trying to say justice, isn't doing the conversation justice in general, objectively. And with the Oz thing, same thing. It was like totally got getting that question asked. I was fine with that, but like it just spoiled the conversation in the sense that we took too much time on it and we just kept on repeating the question, right? And it was like it sort of bugged me a little bit because I was like, it began to feel a little suggestive instead of just inquisitory. And that's the part that bothered me. And I'll tell you, I'll be real personal with you right now. I grew up in a household where there was a member of my family, I'm not going to say especially who they are, but if you had an opinion that wasn't the same as theirs, the first thing they started trying to do was gaslight you, right? Like there was some Munchausen stuff there. And it was like, so there's a little bit like, not like I'm taking it personal, but I know what it's like to have a different opinion that's not insane. It's reasonably sane in itself, and get somebody telling you you're crazy. Like what you said, we dropped the ball. We missed an opportunity to have the real conversation.
Right.
Because what we were having was a ghost of a conversation based on false assumptions about what I was actually trying to say. And that's all it was that we missed the conversation. I wasn't hurt. Like, I wasn't like, oh man, I got misrepresented. Like, I could care less. But we could have had a better conversation. And I wanted to explore that conversation. And like I said, that's what the recent TikToks are about. It was like, hey, we still got stuff to talk about. Hey, this is what I think about this, you know? It was just meant to liven the debate again. So, you know, I don't feel slighted. I don't feel misrepresented. But just like you, I feel like there's a part two. There's an act two to this conversation, and let's have it.
So you're actually claiming that you have the ability to intertwine yourself through several different forms of religion, right? You've mentioned Christianity, you've mentioned Buddhism.
Yeah.
And there's other faiths in there too, other religions in there too. Now, I know for a fact, because I can read comments on TikTok, despite what people may think of me, that you caused an uproar in the religious community.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you kind of foresaw that and you understood it was going to happen, or if it was like a byproduct of an after effect or whatnot. But was that an intention, or like what's occurred now since you've claimed these things?
So I'm gonna let you in on a little bit of the meta, because obviously I'm not just flying by the seat of my pants, right? There is strategy here. This is what I want to do. Unite every single religion into one. Destroy all of the old gods, the little g gods. Bring us back to one God, which we see in every single human being on the planet. And so the God itself is a human God. And we start treating each other as if we are God. The same way we're terrified of upsetting God, we should be terrified of hurting and upsetting each other. The long game plan is, yes, to unite every single one of the religions, show them that all of their Christ figures were the same person, show them that their God is all the same thing, and it's nature itself. We are God. We are, in fact, the fingertips of God. And destroy all these lower G's, whether it be Krishna or Shiva, or, I know this sounds blasphemous, get rid of them. They're little G's. They're middle men and middle women, or middle deities between the true one God, which exists in every single one of us. We've lost our way. We've filled ourselves up with all these crazy ideas. All of those little G gods, Krishna, Shiva, all those are psychological concepts, and we've deified them. I want to break them back down into what they actually are. Same thing with Set and Osiris and Isis and Horus. Every single one of those are representative of psychological principles of growth for human beings. We need to get back there. Yeah, so even with the algorithm, the way I hashtag things, like I'll get up one day and I'll be like, whoa, my TikTok is too Christian right now. I got to bring some New Agers in to balance them out. Or it's like, okay, it's getting a little too New Age. I need more atheists in so they can speak more logical reason to them. Like I'm playing that algorithm the whole way because I'm trying to balance my audience in such a way that everyone is part of the conversation. No one has a majority. No one's bullying each other, but everyone's and you'll notice some of my videos, right? I relate Buddhism to Christianity, Christianity to Islam. I'm trying to get them to talk to each other to the point where they realize they're talking about the same thing. And that's the objective. So yeah, there is a master plan. Yeah, unite one religion. And of course the Christians will go nuts. Antichrist, right? I don't care. I don't care. Because we need to unite the religions. We need a unified religion because we're chopping each other's heads off thinking we believe because we believe in a different thing. We're killing over different gods. It's stupid. We've been here too long. We've been human for too long. We've got this beautiful thing called the neocortex. It's time that this shit is over. We need to have a unified religion that glorifies human beings as God. That's the strategy for me.
Is it a Judeo-Christian? Is it the God of the Bible? What is this God? Is it a pantheistic, deistic God? What is it?
It's the God that Zoroaster came very close to understanding. It's a God that goes beyond any sort of like label of like Judeo-Christian, Abrahamic, or whatever. It's like when I say God is me and God is you and God is this computer, like I mean it literally. Like every atom, the 18 subatomic particles, the 4 forces of nature, time itself, that is God. Imagine God having a dream, and his dream is the universe. We are it. It's us. And what we're so terrified of admitting is that it's actually we're God. And so we have the ultimate privilege and responsibility for our own fate. And instead of leaving it to some external God that's supposed to like come down eventually and save us or create these rules for us, we've been playing this fictional literary game with ourselves, writing these characters that have come down to bless us. That all came from the inside of our heads. We've been making God up as a literary figure and not realizing that it's just us telling a story to put a buffer between the fact that we're God and we have to start taking responsibility for that. Like that is, we're God. Like it's us. There's nothing else outside. Like it's happening right now. We are the fingertips of God, reaching out into the cosmos, trying to understand ourselves in a dream.
Hey, Austin, let's talk about this Mark of Legend guy. Remember we interviewed him a few months back and you just totally ruined our opportunity to talk to a guy who said he was the second coming in Christ? And you dissed him? Well, anyway, he's making videos about us on TikTok now, right? So I heard he's going to come back on the show. Hold on a second. Wait. Somebody's knocking on the door. Hold on a second. Hold on, dude. 1 second. Oh, who's this? Oh, hold on a second.
What? He who is without sin.
Who the?
Cast the first stone.
Oh my.
Oh no.
Who's this dude?
Oh no.
That's me.
Oh shoot, dude.
What's up, guys?
Oh, what's up, man?
What?
Yeah. So I took a little sabbatical off. I was getting a lot of reports for violating community standards, which I wasn't. I was wrongfully accused. So I took a little break, went into the woods, rode some bears, talked to the eagles, and they told me I needed to come back. So here I am.
Well, we're going to unmute Oz, and coming up on Monday, the 27th of this month, so next Monday, we're going to have Mark of Legend back on the show to talk to Jesus Mike and the Oz. Don't forget to tune in. It's going to be at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. TART.live on the YouTube channel. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Hey, guys, check out Austin in the top right-hand corner right here.